Hi, I'm disability lawyer David Brannon. In this video, I'm going to review the definition of severe and prolonged disability to qualify for CPP disability benefits. After watching this video, you'll have a better understanding of the level or severity of disability needed to qualify for CPP disability payments. So one of the criteria to qualify for CPP disability is that you have a severe and prolonged disability. The first thing to know is that it is not related to your medical condition. It is not a statement of how serious your medical condition is. Rather, it's focused on the consequences of your medical condition and the disability that arises from the condition. Think of it this way. Some people will think a definition of multiple sclerosis. That would be a severe medical condition to have. But the reality is that sometimes the symptoms from multiple sclerosis are not that bad for some people, and they would not be disabled. What it's based on is the legislation that defines severe and prolonged disability in the CPP legislation and regulations. It also includes court decisions that have interpreted that definition and further kind of explained it. The legislation defines a severe disability as one that would be either a mental or physical disability that regularly stops you from doing any substantially gainful work. So I'm going to break this definition down for you because there's three important words in that definition. The first one is regularly. The second one is any. And the third one, I guess it's two words, is substantially gainful. So let's look at regularly. What it means is when it says that you are unable to regularly work, it really just means that you can't work on a consistent day-by-day basis or in any type of a pattern or consistency that an employer would put up with. If you're able to, work 5 days a week or 4 days a week, or you could work every afternoon, you can do it on a predictable pattern, you're going to be able to work regularly. It doesn't mean that you have to show up 5 days a week, 9 to 5. It just means that you can maintain a pattern of predictability and reliability that an employer can rely on. The second key word here is any. Any refers to any type of work. So it just means that they're not just looking at can you do your old job. They're saying can you do any type of work that you're able to based on your education, your background, or if you're able to undergo some education and training that would be within your abilities. Are you able to kind of train yourself up or do other work that would allow you to do any type of work? The last part of the definition, and the one that's probably the least understood, is this idea that it's substantially gainful work. Substantially gainful means that you're able to earn a certain level of money from work. There used to be debates over what that meant. There's no longer any debates. They've amended the regulations to basically say that anything above $16,000 as of 2020 will be deemed to be substantially gainful. If you're capable of earning about $16,000 or more, you're going to be deemed to be, in most cases, capable of substantially gainful work and will not have a severe disability as defined by CPP. So there's a little more nuance to this definition of a severe disability. There's two other things that get looked at. The first one is whether you have complied with medical advice and took reasonable efforts to get well. Even if they look at your situation and on the face of it, you meet the definition of disability in that you can't do any substantially gainful work. If they look at your situation and say, yeah, but the only reason that is because you didn't follow through on this treatment, you didn't do this recommendation, and if you had done those recommendations, you would have gotten better, then unfortunately in that situation, you still will not meet the definition of a severe disability. Okay, now let's look at the second part of this. The second part relates to how hard you've tried to stay in the workforce. So this one, they will say, well, even if someone appears to meet the definition of disability, they'll still only find it to be severe and prolonged disability if they have this sense that you've actually tried to stay in the workforce, that you've taken efforts to try to change things up at work, you've looked for other jobs, you've shown some efforts to try to stay at work. If they don't believe that you've taken enough efforts to try to remain at work or look for other work that's better suited to your abilities, they still will find that you do not have a severe disability. They really want to see that you have tried to work and to stay at work. And if those efforts aren't there, they'll find that you do not have a severe and prolonged disability because you've not really proven that there's no substantially gainful work that you could do. So that's the definition of severe. The second aspect is that your disability needs to be prolonged. Prolonged is pretty easy to understand. It just means that your disability has to be not expected to improve anytime soon or will result in death. CPP disability is not intended for any short-term illness, no matter how severe it is. It's only for situations where someone has a chronic, permanent, long-term disability that is not expected to improve. For example, let's say you get into a car accident and you're severely injured, broken legs, head injuries, you're in a coma. Think the most severe type of thing while you're still alive. You're in bed for a year, you can't possibly get out of bed, but after a year and a half, you're able to get up, get moving, and by 2 years, you're back to work. Could you qualify for CPP disability for those 2 years? The answer is no. Even though your definition, you would have met all the criteria for severe, your situation would not have met the prolonged component. As soon as it became obvious that you were on the road to recovery, CPP would have not paid out on that case. They would have waited to see if your disability was going to be permanent. And in that scenario, it was not permanent because the person did improve and get back to work, so they would not have approved the claim. If for some reason that the claim was approved before it was known there would be a road to recovery, they would reassess it and that person would have lost the benefits once they realized that they no longer met the prolonged requirement. So there you have it. You now have a better understanding of how the severe and prolonged disability works and how it would apply in your situation. Keep watching our other videos to learn more about the program and what it takes to win CPP disability.